What did you think at large, aside from him giving the business to Volan and being on his smart-ass sharpshooter game? What did you think of the coach today?
He doesn't want us to read into anything too much early on. I mean, they've essentially gone through bringing in some of the rookies and some of the guys who weren't able to participate as much through the earlier part of the offseason because of injuries, health, and whatnot. But other than that, he's like, we've done our conditioning test, and you can't read into much else than that. And that feels a little Belichickian to me, where everything was an extension of the thing you just did. Like, okay, your beginning of training camp is an extension of mini camp because the pads aren't on yet. So don't judge until the pads are on. September is an extension of preseason because you haven't figured out exactly what kind of team you're going to be. But there was one quote that Vrabel gave that stuck out to me, and it's when he said, it's time to build this team. It's time to build this team. It's time to figure out who we are. And I think it's a little subtle way of him saying, like, it's time to figure out who's going to be here. We got 91 guys coming in. We're going to have 53 guys going out there in the fall. And tomorrow is where it truly starts.
Yeah, I had a chance to sit through episode 2 of Forged in Foxborough, the Patriots house-produced docuseries, episode 2 of which is definitely worth a watch. You can watch it at patriots.com. Patriots YouTube channel. Clippets and snippets have surfaced and been making the rounds on the IG and the tweet machine. And one thing that I've yesterday I had a chance to review it on the show. A lot of Doug Marrone on there. I don't know how much Doug Marrone we're going to hear from during camp or throughout the season. A lot of Josh McDaniels as well. But there seems to be a comfort and confidence that Vrabel already has. Good vibes, good dynamics amongst the players, great energy. People like Morgan Moses really stepping up as early leaders on this team. We'll see who else steps up. A lot of time for Mike Onwenu, who you've made a point of talking about maybe showing up to camp.
Okay, Fitzy, I don't know if I've made a point of it. I've made an observation, because what else can you talk about in June? Like, this guy looks in shape. This guy doesn't look in shape. This guy looks engaged. This guy looks disengaged. We're not even allowed to say exactly where they are on the offensive line. So, yeah, no. I'm going to say when the guy shows up and he looks totally out of shape. And Mike, and when you showed up, and he looked totally out of shape. Christian Barmore, on the other hand, moving great. Looked very in shape for somebody who's coming off an extremely serious injury situation last year.
Speaking of someone who's coming off of a serious injury situation last year, Steph Diggs made some noise this week as well. The non-contact ACL tear from late last October. He's now cleared, which means, yes, he gets the big bonus, which is excellent. But we're talking he's cleared for all football activities just under 9 months from tearing his ACL, which is very, very, very impressive. And it seems like Mike Vrabel is impressed and excited to see him out in the field. Let's hear from the coach about the Patriots' likely number 1 receiver.
When he practices, when he took the rep, it was full go. Everybody every day is going to have a different plan. There'll be some players that aren't out there for individual. There'll be players that are just out there for team. There'll be players that are just taking some specific reps. And my job is to manage that each and every day, but to ensure the football team that everybody's working, whether that's with Frank or Jim's staff or with the coaching staff on the field. So I don't see any limitations right now. Is he going to take every single rep of every single period? No, and I don't think any player will. But I think we're off to a good start and encouraged by what we saw here in the last couple of days.
So, wow. So won't be any limitations. Probably not going to get every single rep, but then again, that would probably be foolhardy just because you can clear the guy to then run him straight into the ground. It's not like he's Jalen Polk or Javon Baker trying to earn a rep, let alone a place on the team, or a rookie trying to impress his positional coaches, his coordinator, or his HC Mego. Obviously, this guy has that veteran level of trust, and we've seen what Steph Diggs can do when he's emotionally and physically at his best. If he is this coming season, what are your expectations for what you think he might be able to bring to the team, both on the sideline and locker room as well as on the field?
I've wavered on this a little bit. I see him as like an 850 guy, like 800 to 850 receiving yards. I know he's been a 1,000-yard receiver in his nature every single season, and he was exactly on pace for that when he went out with the ACL last year. I just think that at the early 30s that he's in, and even though he went through this rehab in 9 months, and that's very impressive, I'm not even exactly sure where he's going to fit in the offense. You know, he's obviously the most talented receiver that they have on the roster right now, but when you look at the rest of the receiver room without really knowing what Kyle Williams is fully going to be, that's not saying that much. I still think the Patriots have one of the worst receiver rooms in the entire league, and I don't want to be doom and gloom about it, but if you have somebody like, I don't know, if you have Pop Douglas getting around 700 to 800 receiving yards, you have Hunter Henry getting around 700 to 700 receiving yards, let's say. He was in the 600s last year in a totally dysfunctional offense. And you have something out there for Kyle Williams, like, how much are you targeting Stefon Diggs? And to me, that's the question is, how is that going to work between Stefon Diggs and Drake Maye? Is Stefon Diggs going to be there to elevate somebody, even if he feels like maybe they're less naturally talented than him? Or does everything go through Diggs? You know what I'm saying?
It's a great question. Like, does Diggs come out?
It's different with the Texans when he was there and there were young guys who were explosive and on the come up.
Nico Collins, Tank Dell, etc.
What's the case going to be in this receiver room? Because he's definitely top dog, but does that mean that he's 1,000+ yard receiver? I don't know.
Yeah, who else in that receiver room has earned the right to call for the ball? Who else in there thinks that they're the top dog? Who else will say, oh, no. I've got the established chemistry. I've got the relationship with Drake Maye. You know, it's Steph Diggs. It's really Steph Diggs and going forward. Let's hear a little bit more from the coach on Diggs.
I know that everybody heals differently, especially from that type of injury. But I would say that I think it's just a testament to how hard he worked. You know, Marcus Epps also went through that surgery and worked extremely hard, and he's been out there the last couple of days with us as well. So appreciate their efforts to get back out there and get ready, and then we'll continue to monitor as we work through training camp.
All right, so obviously, you know, when he says Epps, Marcus Epps, that's the safety they signed away from the Raiders, who's part of the cast of characters that'll be fighting for safety reps. We're not sure exactly how many safeties are going to be on the field and deployed in Terrell Williams' new 2025 Patriots defense, but it seems as though the Patriots coaching staff, coordinators, etc., are comfortable with where Diggs is right now. I still have maintained, Mego, that Steph Diggs' impact is going to be felt as much on the field as it should be on the sideline, in the locker room, in the wide receiver room, where, yes, they have Todd Downing, the former offensive coordinator, who's now operating as a wide receivers coach. And, of course, you have McDaniels, who, again, got all sorts of love and was praised high and low in episode 2 of Forged in Foxborough. So there seem to be a lot of great minds, but they also made it very clear in the episode that everything funnels up into and through Josh McDaniels, and that is the one voice that Drake Maye and the rest of the offense will hear. But I wonder if Steph Diggs won't be the other voice you hear offensively just as much, because we've seen what a demonstrative personality he can be when he wants things a certain way and when he thinks he should be getting the ball. I think at first he'll probably have that kind of positive influence on Drake Maye, who you don't think Drake Maye is a little too demure, do you? Or like a little too, I won't say soft, but a little, like he's not the loudest guy in the room as someone who's trying to take the reins of leadership.
I think Drake Maye has a lot of natural leadership. Like, I think he's pretty different than Mac Jones in this way. I think Mac Jones, he would bark at his teammates literally and figuratively sometimes when he felt like they weren't on the same page. I think when you look at what Drake Maye had to be in last year, it was such an awkward position. He was the backup to somebody who should have been his backup in Jacoby Brissett, but was getting paid to be this interim starter, and then takes over, and the captains were dropping like flies at that time. I think that just in interactions with Drake and the way that he carries himself, I think he's got a lot of natural confidence and a lot of natural leadership. So I'm not worried about that. And I'm not worried about him managing his offense. What I think the biggest consideration for Drake will be, how is he managing the Josh McDaniels offense at the line of scrimmage pre-snap? How is he processing? How is he how is his learning curve on that? Because we heard a lot at the end of last season about how, he's actually a much better processor, or he's a great processor in a way that didn't show up for him in the draft, that people weren't talking about as much. Everybody was talking about how he might be tripping over his own feet because his footwork was so bad, and how he didn't play very much at UNC compared to somebody like Jaden Daniels in his college career. But I think, like, the leadership stuff I'm not worried about. What I'm worried about is how quickly he's able to pick up this offense in a way that looks natural and command the rest of it on the field.
Yeah, I that's one of the things that, to me, it's as much when I think about looking at Drake Maye and watching him from the start of training camp tomorrow throughout the preseason all the way up till the first game on September 7th, I'll be just as curious to see him in terms of how he handles himself with the McDaniels offense, how that leadership continues to evolve and emerge, as much as I will, trying to mitigate the turnovers, integrating the running, are there design runs, how his mastery is of the short game and some of the slip screens and other things that have been hallmarks of the McDaniels offense, how he looks downfield, and again, who emerges as his safety blankets as well. There is one other element that I wanted to get to as far as Mike Vrabel today. Vrabel, obviously, all the way back, from his playing days to being the hard-o coach who loves wearing a penny and getting out there and being with the boys, running with the offense and defense.
Did you just call it a penny?
What? Yeah. What do you call it? His jersey.
Penny.
Like sometimes, you know what I mean.
A penny is the thing that's being discontinued of the coins in your coin pouch.
Hold tight. Dan Ball, Stanley, am I wrong in calling like those half jerseys that Mike Vrabel puts on sometimes when he gets out there on the field a penny?
I'm on Mego's side. It's a penny. Penny, P-I-N, and then however
comes
it
from
finishes.
like pinning a number to yourself.
All right, I'll take the lap. Penny, sorry. I always thought it was penny. That's so weird.
How many decades have you made it through walking around talking about put a penny on?
Because I think. All right. Yep. Thank you. There it was. Okay, I know.
Your spelling is P-I-N-N-Y. Penny.
Penny. Okay, when he puts his penny on and he gets out there with the boys.
Puts the jersey.
Obviously.
When he puts his little costume on. Just take it full theater kid, Fitzy. Embrace your inner theater kid. When he puts on his football costume and he runs out to center stage.
So when football Hagrid gets out there and he's costumed in and amongst the boys, making contact in the drills, which I always think is outright hilarious. Because he so badly wants to be out there with him. Talking about, there was that Callahan piece on how Will Campbell became the 4th overall pick and the Patriots fell in love with him because Mike Vrabel was holding up a pad telling him to hit him. God, it's so Vrabel. It's unbelievable. But, he's all about the full contact practices. This will basically, like you said, be an extension of passing camp, which is what mandatory OTAs were. Here's Vrabel talking about when he'll really get a chance to get to know his team.
We did pretty good on the linear run test, which they practiced. They know what it was going to be. The big thing will come when they're in line contact. I mean, and you're sitting there, you're wrestling with a guy, and then the D lineman's rushing. He almost gets to the quarterback, but we're telling him to plant and run and go sprint to the football and then go do it again. Or we're asking Kyle Williams to go run a post, and he didn't get the ball, but he wanted to get the ball, but he didn't. Can he run back, get set, know what to do the next play? That's really where we'll see. So I'll be able to answer that question, again, hopefully only once in a few days.
I like your answer better. Mike,
I thought you were punking me. I'm like...
That was more from the extended cut when he was busting the footballs of Ben Volen, asking how all the players look. Obviously, Vrabel is super excited to get out there to when they get padded practice, which is not this week. So any fans that are going to Foxborough to see the Patriots open up camp this week, the first couple of days, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, this is going to be just, a little slap and tickle. This will be some special teams work. This will be some passing camp. You're not going to see like the real football stuff likely until next week.